Welcome back, everybody. It is June of 2023, and this is episode 54 of What is on My Desk. So here we are back for another one of my monthly updates of what has been going on my desk. It's going to be a shorter video. I don't have any new products or anything like that to show you. Editor Sean here. I lied. I have a few things to show you. A new set of wheels for the A-26 and then a couple of new books that I will be showing you here in a second. But I do have significant progress on the 4 kits. This is the last day of, well, I'm filming this on the last day of a week's vacation, first real week of vacation I've had in a while. And I spent most of it focusing on the models as well as the channel. So at the end, I'll do a quick update on where we stand with the channel and what's coming up in the near future. So I had a lot of progress going on with both that and these kits. So I think you'll be pretty significantly surprised with where I am. So on that note, I think we should get swung over. And as always, my name is Sean, and this is Sean's Aviation. And just before we jump into the video, I want to say thank you for everyone who is watching this. If you haven't yet and you like what you're seeing, down below, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That'll let you know when I release new content. And as well, if you would like to help out in a bit of a concrete way, you can hop over down below. There's a link. Hop over my coffee account. You can buy me a coffee. I almost always have a coffee on the go, and every little bit does help me offset some of the costs I have incurred, well, especially with the traveling and the air shows and stuff for this channel. Please don't feel obligated. I'm not begging for money. I do what I do because I love doing it, and I get to take you along for the ride. All that being said, let's get this camera swung over. We'll get set up here. We'll take a quick look at where I stand with these 4 kits. Okay, so before we take a quick look at the models, we're going to take a look at some of the newer items that I have received recently. I have a few to show you in this update. First, model related, I got, if I can get these out, I got a set of, I believe these are Aries. Oh, I can't remember now. I pulled the cap off, I believe. Oh, it says right on it. Does it say on it? Yeah, here we go before I start. I believe they're Aries. Anyways, it's a set of resin wheels for my E26K. The model itself is really poorly done, so these have a lot more detail in them. I will be doing a full review on these, and you can look for that in the near future. And I will be going over, I'll be comparing those and contrasting those with the actual kit parts, so you guys can just see how horrible it really is in the kit. Like I said, I'll go into detail in the review, but to me, personally, it feels like the kit they never finished the wheels. They had like placeholder parts, and they never went back and actually finished the wheels and released the kit with unfinished wheels. That's how I see it. But like I said, you'll get a good look when I do the full review on those parts. Now the next four things were actually given to me by a family member. They received this from an acquaintance of theirs and figured that I would be interested in them, and I am. They're pretty interesting. So I'll go through them one by one. They're a little different than something I normally would get. First is a postcard of the Lancaster VRA KB. I can't remember what the actual registration is of the Lancaster out of Hamilton. Anyways, it's the VRA. It's the same aircraft that the Warplane Heritage Lancaster out of Hamilton is done up as, and this is a painting. So it's a postcard, but it's of a painting, and it's done by this gentleman here, R.L. Whitcomb. He was a member of 419 Squadron, and he taught himself how to paint, and he paints full-time. As of the date that this was released, I don't know what. It says 1995, so it's a little old. So it says he resides in Kitchener and does painting full-time. And as I said, this is a painting of VRA, which is the Lancaster that Hamilton's aircraft is painted up as. And this was a sort of a memorial to their final flight in World War II when they were shot down. So that is that, kind of cool. Still has the original envelope, kind of not even used, more of a souvenir piece, and it still sits inside of its plastic little baggie here. So it's almost, you know, factory fresh, so to speak, and I'll probably keep it that way. I don't have any plans on writing a postcard to anybody, and it's a cool little piece of Canadian aviation history. So that gets to live right there. I'll put that over there with all of my other aviation memorabilia. Next is a little book on the story of Pearl Harbor. I don't know, copyright Tong Publishing from Honolulu, Hawaii, 24th printing in 1991. So I don't know the actual history behind this, why it was printed or anything else like that, but again, it's a cool little piece of history. I had actually visited Pearl Harbor, so that was pretty cool. And now we have, so it's kind of a story. It talks about the attack plan, on how they left Japan and how they came in and launched, how the attacks came in, and it talks a lot about some of the ships that were involved, and the different places, the bombers, Hickam Air Force Base. There's the picture of Pearl Harbor and where all of the ships were located. And there's actually, it's annotated. He's gone through and annotated a lot of them, mentioning what type of aircraft, what type of ship it was, and where they were located and everything else. And then it goes through some details on each individual ship, the Nevada, Curtis, Utah. So it talks about some of the ships that were involved. And then it goes through talking about the Arizona, which was the one that blew up. It talks about the memorial, which is still there. There's a picture of the memorial there. The wall with the names on it, and then again some more of the second wave, some more of the ships that were attacked and everything else. Yeah, so it's an interesting little book. Again, it's a neat piece of history to have. Don't even know if this is still in production, but the book itself is in very good condition, very minimal wear on the corners and whatnot, so it's pretty cool to have. It's not like a a piece of that's in poor shape or whatnot. So I got to find a place to store that. I guess I'll just stick it in my bookshelf for now. This is a little different as well. So this is a catalog that talks about so John Players, the cigarette company, branch of Imperial Tobacco from Great Britain. They released, I don't know what year these were released in, but they released a number of aircraft like collector cards inside of their cigarette packs. And this is kind of like a catalog that shows you all of the cards that were available. So if you were collecting them, you could go through and make sure that you actually had all of them. And it's interesting. I think this is a photocopy of the original booklet, but it does at the front price, 1 penny. So if you were just purchasing this back in the day, it was a penny. And you go through and it shows you, and I think it's a photocopy because it's not double-sided printed. It's printed on one side only, and it's page 2 and 3. And then you have to, close this up and open the next page, and you can see page 4 and 5. So like you just open the book, photocopy, open the book, photocopy, single-sided copy to everything in the book. So it's not original, but it's still very interesting. And it talks about all the different, it looks like it's just international airliners. So it talks about all the airliners that were in service at the time that they were doing this. And I have to say, if I was going to guess, I would say that this is in the early 30s that they ran this promotion. Looking through here, I don't see, like the HE-111 is still the early airline version before it was used as a bomber. So it definitely predates World War II. Now, I mean, I say that in the sense that the aircraft that are in it, like DC-2, it doesn't have, as far as I can remember, it doesn't have a DC-3 even in here. And the DC-3 came out kind of 36, 37. and it's organized by airline. So there's here's Braniff with a Lockheed Electra. So that would have been again mid 1930s. Oh, here we go. DST. There, that ages it right there. The DC-3 isn't even. Yeah, it is. So they do talk about the DC-3. Okay. So yeah, we're looking, mid 30s, 34, 35, 36, maybe into 37. There's the DC-2 again from Eastern Airlines. You'd have to date it by just seeing like what was the latest any of that. And I think the DC-3 would be the most modern. Boeing 247 from United Airlines. There's again the DC-3. So my guess is it's probably, 35, 36, 37 when that was done. And I mean, it's nothing special. It's just a photocopy of the card collection. It doesn't come with the card collection or at all. But it's very interesting on its own, just as a piece of aviation history, and to see, how you used to be able to do this and what you used to be able to collect. And it's very interesting to have that. Now, I think the really cool part of the whole collection was this book, and it's Aviation in Canada, 1917 to 1918. And the interesting thing is the book itself. It's in very good condition. There's very little, weathering or rot or pages or moth-eaten or anything like that. There's some water damage to the pages in a few spots, but it's relatively nice. But it was printed in 1919. So, I mean, we're sitting here in 2023. So this is a 104-year-old book about aviation in Canada. And it's really interesting. It starts talking about kind of World War I and kind of how the beginnings of aviation in World War I, and then it talks about some of the different people in charge of the government departments in World War I. Camp Mohawk. I don't even know where Camp Mohawk is. I wouldn't be surprised if Camp Mohawk is what is today CFB Trenton. I'd have to do the research and see where Camp Mohawk was. But it's interesting to read through and just, again, the history of the time. And this was current history. This wasn't somebody writing about it, 20, 30, 40 years later. It was being written at the time. This was considered an up-to-date sort of aviation story. So it's very interesting to, there's a lot of information in here, like just charts, wings and rudders, spares, man-hour productions, machines going through repair depots, repair engine overhaul, monthly strength of engine repairs. There's some pictures of the engine repair sites and gunnery training in Texas and planes crashing in Texas and how they moved training to Texas to get out of the Canadian winters and RCAF flying fatalities. It's an amazing amount of detail and data for the time. It'd be very interesting to actually read through some of this and actually see how things were set up at the time compared to how it is today. Now, the best part of this, as far as I can tell, this is an original advertisement from 1919. Notice to purchaser. A limited number of extra copies of this volume has been printed. Should you require any for your friends, please fill in the accompanying order form and make remittance as previously. It is essential that this be done without delay, as it is anticipated that the demand for aviation in Canada will exceed the number of copies available. Cut off here and mail. The historical section for RAF Cancord, Duke and George Streets, Toronto. Please send me Aviation in Canada as follows. Name, yada, yada, yada. And it says amount of remittance and method of remittance, but it doesn't tell me how much the book is actually worth or what it was worth at the time. And yeah, it's definitely an interesting piece of Canadian aviation history. And I'd have to do more research, not only on the book itself, in terms of how many were printed, are they still available? There's a picture of Barrie. I actually lived in Barrie for a few months when I was in college. So it's interesting. School of Aeronautics Canteen. I don't know where the School of Aeronautics is based. Camp Borden. Yeah, it'd be very interesting to go through this and really read through it and you know, understand kind of what it was like at the time. So that's an interesting addition to my book collection. I need to find a nice safe place to store that so it doesn't get damaged over the years. So yeah, that kind of wraps up that. That was just a surprise that I was not expecting from a family member who, like I said, received a number of those items from an acquaintance. Sorry for the noise, throwing some garbage in the garbage can. Now, moving on from that, we had a Polish Air Force, a couple of Polish Air Force aircraft actually, transit through Ottawa recently, and we were involved in the handling of it. And one of the nicest crews I have dealt with in a long time. A lot of crews are very matter of fact, to the point, get ready, go, you know. These guys were friendly. They were talking and joking around and asking questions, and it was just generally a really fun time. And at the end of it all, they ended up giving us a few things. First of all, they gave us a little Polish flag, which I ended up handing to a coworker, and the tech from the aircraft who gave it to me was like, "You're not going to keep it for yourself?" I'm like, no, it's, you know, whatever. I gave it to him. So he literally turned around and he ripped a patch off of the arm of his uniform and handed me a patch. And it's a really cool patch. And I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you can get a good look at it. So it's the VIP squadron from the Polish Air Force. So you can see it's got the roundel in the middle, which it's really a square, not round. But anyways, I don't know what that logo is in the middle. I think it's the symbol for mechanics. I'd have to do I know it groups something technical, so I think it's a patch for the squadron's maintenance personnel. But I'd have to do some translation and actually figure it out. But it's interesting because around the edges are the 4 aircraft types flown in the Polish Air Force VIP squadron. You've got a Gulfstream G5 on one side. You've got the 737 on the other. You've got an Mi-8, which I actually guessed was an Mi-17 when we were talking to the crew. He corrected that it was an Mi-8. And over here's another helicopter, and I had assumed that was an Mi-2. And he corrected me, telling me that it was a Sokol. I'll put a picture up here of this. Actually, I'll put a picture of all the different aircraft. The Gulfstream, the 737, the Mi-8, and the Sokol used by the VIP squadron. So that's a really cool piece of swag that I was able to collect or get from those guys. So, you know, that's the kind of stuff that I love doing. You've seen some a couple of months ago with all my Air Force One stuff. This is just another item that I've gotten. And over the years, you get these cool things kind of handed to you as a thank you from the crew for all the hard work you put in. And it's appreciative and it's cool, and I'm very, very happy that I get to partake in some of that stuff. But that is that. And I think at that point, we basically rounded off all of the new items to show you. So at this point, I think we're just going to roll over. We'll take a look at the progress on the 4 kits. There has been progress on the kits, so that's going to be something. Hopefully, it's actually a lot more progress than you guys were expecting. I actually managed to get a lot done. And yeah, so let's swing over. Take a look at what the progress is on these kits right now, and you can see where I managed to get to. Okay, so here we are back at the desk. Take a quick look. Get these lights reset. There we go. Take a quick look at the progress on these 4 kits. As always, I'm going to start with the Spitfire Mark 14, and it has been painted. So here it is. So it's painted in overall alclad airframe aluminum. It's a bit darker than I was kind of hoping for, to be honest, but there's only so much you can do. But anyways, it's painted in overall airframe aluminum. Yeah, overall airframe aluminum. I picked out the fuel tanks and the ailerons in alclad straight aluminum, as well as all of the little extra bits, the belly tank, gear doors, the radiator doors, the tail wheel doors. I think that's it. Radiator doors, gear doors, belly tank, tail wheel door. All has been picked out in straight aluminum. So you can see there's a bit of a variation in the color when you assemble everything in the final look. Kind of what I was going for, just to see a slight variation and some tones in the metal. So it has been painted up. I've sealed it with the alclad clear gloss just to make sure I don't ruin it with my fingerprints or anything like that. And then I went ahead and painted the masked and painted the canopy as well as the prop in the blue. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this blue is accurate. I'm going to go with it probably isn't 100% accurate, strictly because I didn't really have that color and I had this blue, so I went ahead and did it. I based it with white and then painted it blue. You can already see the canopy. The forward canopy is a slightly lighter shade of blue. I'm just going to have to deal with it. But it is very close to the color blue that is on the decals. So that's kind of what it's supposed to be. It's the same color blue that's in this, the wording and everything else. So it's very close to the colors on the decal sheet, which is what I was hoping for. So we are very close to getting this thing decaled. Basically, I'm ready to decal. I'm not unmasking the canopy till after I paint the exhausts, but for the most part, this is ready to decal. So it's kind of sitting in the holding pattern now while I work on the other kits. But like I said, decal, I'm going to seal it again with the gloss, the Alclad gloss, and I'll seal, the blue hasn't been sealed yet. This is actually still the straight color. So I'm going to have to gloss coat. Basically, the whole airframe is going to be in gloss. So I'm going to gloss coat everything with the Alclad gloss, decal everything. Sorry, start over. I'm going to decal it as it is. Then I'm going to seal everything with the Alclad gloss, including all of these blue parts again. And then I'm going to go ahead and start weathering. Just simple, basically just exhaust stains. Maybe a little bit of oil staining underneath. Minimal staining on this thing. And then it's basically finished. And then there'll be the flat paint above the gloss paint. And I don't remember if this has an anti-glare panel. It does not have an anti-glare panel. So basically that's all it is. Decals, sealant, a tiny bit of weathering, and it's finished. Final assembly after that. So this is getting very close to where I want it to be. And I'm just letting these live on the kit so I don't lose them or get them stained. So that's the status of the Mark 14. It's looking really good and I can't wait to get it completed and get it on display in my shelf at work. So moving on to the A-26C, it is also painted, and it's painted overall flat black. Now I know these weren't really flat black in use, and it does have a bit of a shine to it. It's not perfectly flat. And it's also not perfectly painted. You're going to pick out some variations in the color, and I'm okay with that. I don't want a uniform color. I wanted to have some tonal variation on it. And what I'm going to do is, while I'm painting the bottom of the K, which I'm going to use a lightened black for that, just to differentiate the bottom black from like props and de-icing boots and stuff like that, to get some what's the word I'm thinking of? Not transition, I can't think of the word right now. I did not sleep very much last night. I've been having some pains and I haven't slept very well. Anyways, I want to paint the K in a lighter black just to get some difference between the flat black props and de-icing boots versus the bottom color. So when I do the lighter black, the dark gray, light black on the K, I'm going to come through on this one and I'm going to do some highlights. I'm just going to do some tonal variation, like to say, for example, the fabric ailerons and elevators and rudder. I'm going to pick out some little bits and pieces everywhere on it and just give it some toning. So the top, and then I'm going to dust the whole thing with a lighter gray, just gently. So it looks like the top is a slightly lighter shade of black than the bottom, which is what you would see for an aircraft that's been painted black and out in service and the paint fades. So the upper paint will fade while the lower paint doesn't. So there's going to be a little bit of variation in the color and along those lines. Nothing crazy, just enough to say it has some variation. And then once I'm done that, I'm going to gloss coat it, decal, weather. And then when I do it, well, actually I'll probably semi-gloss, seal, and then weather. So that the exhaust staining, the flat exhaust stains are on top of the final semi-gloss coat. And that way this will have a little bit of a shine to it the way it would have initially. But still have some flat color on top of it and give it some tonal variation and make it look a bit more realistic. So I'm not going to unmask too much. Like I can't unmask the wingtips until I get that overall gray paint done. Then I can pull those off, and then I can do all the final decals and everything else. And the Bombay I won't pull to the end because I want the inside to stay flat while the outside is a semi-gloss. And then I got to do rockets and engines, and all the engines are painted up. Actually, they're all still sitting on the sprues here on the clips. So you've got the cowl flaps and everything here, and then so all the exhaust staining. I'm going to heavily weather this one. I want it to look like it's been fought in the Korean War and, you know, fought hard and put away wet. So it's going to be very dirty. That's the plan anyway. We'll see how well it comes out. So that is the C model. The B model, also painted. This particular one was painted in Alclad as well. So this is overall Alclad aluminum. And then the control surfaces, the fabric control surfaces, are just hand painted in the Vallejo aluminum, as they would be painted versus bare metal. So it has all been painted up. I've pulled the masks out of the wheel wells. This has already been gloss coated, so I'm not doing any more sealing on this decals, but I can seal the decals without getting anything inside the wheel wells. So after this gets a coat of decals, it's been gloss coated, so there's going to be decals going down. Then I'm going to seal the decals in again, and then I'm going to give it, I'll probably give it a black wash. I'm going to do a black wash. No, I'm not going to black wash this. Same as the C model, will not be black washed. So this is going to get a coat of all the decals, then another coat of Alclad clear sealant, and then once it's sealed, then I will go through and do some weathering. Exhaust staining, the olive drab anti-glare panels will be painted on, and as a flat black stripe that's got to go on the rudder, and that way all the flat paint will be flat while the metal will still have that metallic shine, and the decals will have the shine the way that they would normally have over top of the over-painted dull markings. Although I guess I can't seal everything. I got to plan that out because I might not be able to seal the decals because I want some of them to look flat. I'll have to plan that one out because some of the markings will have to be, I don't know, I'll have to figure that out. The decals might have a natural gloss to them, in which case I'm just going to gloss coat them. But I want other things to be flat. So I got to plan out that pattern a little bit, but it's going to look really good when it's done, sitting on its gears, and then just load it. I'm going to do some staining from the guns and whatnot, and from the nose guns, and just heavy exhaust. Again, just looked like it was dirty. Used hard and put away wet, as they say. So this is going to be very cool looking on the canopy open, sitting on the wheels. So that is the B model. I also as well have the cowlings and everything are painted. And I did the cowl flaps in the airframe aluminum, so it's a slightly different shade of metal between the cowl flaps and everything else, just to break up the surface a little bit. So that's that. It's going along good. I'm very happy with the progress on that. K model is the only one I've still got work to do, really. I just started the painting process. So you can see here, it's just got the tan painted on it. And like I said, it will be done in the Southeast Asia scheme. So that's the final kind of scheme there. I don't know how much you can see from there, but it's the tan, light green, and dark green. I actually have the two color greens here, the light green and the dark green, ready to go. So my next step is to start painting the lighter color green. I got to play that game of making sure anywhere where the greens touch, I got to do some masking, whatnot, paint the lighter color greens down, and then once that's done, let it dry for a solid day, and then I can go through and mask again and paint the dark green, let it sit for a solid day, and then I can go through and mask the bottom and paint the bottom that light black, dark gray color I want to do up, paint the bottom. It's very similar to the color I used on the inside. You can kind of get a look with the Bombays because I've painted, the one Bombay has been painted already before I ran out of paint. So that's kind of the color I'm going for. So just to show you, when you take the C model, that's flat black, and you put the other black on top, you can see there's a slight difference in color. I don't know how much the camera's picking up there, but there's a slight difference in shade. It's just enough that it's not flat black. So that's the look I'm going for. So that's how that's going to be done. That's be painted in a light black, dark gray color. And then when the props go on and when the de-icing boots get painted on everything, you'll see this clear differentiation between the black and the bottom color, which is just a bit of a lighter color. So that's where we stand on that. And this will also be heavily weathered, but will be just dead flat. So when I'm done the paint, it's gonna be gloss coat, decals, and then black wash, exhaust staining, some oil stains and whatnot, and then just hit it with a flat coat and just dead flat. And then I can start pulling masking and everything else like that and get the final little bits done. But that's the plan for that. Cowlings I've also done. The engines on this are amazing. You can't really see much though because I've got them masked off for the, I can tell by the angle, this one is the right engine. It's a little hard to fit it on. There you go. So that's going to be the left engine, and then that's the left cowling, but I can't, because of the tape, I can't slide them over, but that's going to be the left cowling. I just got to get this paint done. So it's going to be a couple of days of, especially now that I'm, as of tomorrow, back to work. It's going to be a lot less time I'll have to focus on painting this, so it's going to take a while to get this one painted. But that's the status of the kits. So like I said, I managed to get quite a bit done over the past week, but there's still a lot to do. But as I said at the beginning of this, I was able to focus my week off working on the kits and the channel. So that being said, I have quite a bit of content pretty much ready to go and lined up and scheduled for release. So there's going to be the next Monday that rolls around. I don't have a calendar in front of me right now, but it's next Monday. This should release on June 1st, which was a Thursday. So June 5th, Monday, June 5th, I'll have my next aviation news roundup. And I do have quite a few stories to go over for that. So keep your eyes out for that video to drop on the 5th. And then going through the rest of the month, I've got basically the part 1 of the time lapses. So everything on these kits from the beginning up until primer is included in part 1. And all 4 of those videos are done. They're edited, they're published, they're not published, they're loaded, and they're scheduled. So you're gonna start to see those dropping over the next 5-ish, 6 weeks through until July. You'll start to see those coming out on the regular schedules around my What's on My Desk and my RCAF history videos. The June RCAF history video for 421 Squadron is completed, and I'm working on the 422 Squadron video for July. So effectively, I've got almost all my content up till the 15th of July. Any content that I can film ahead of time has been filmed and edited and uploaded. The only things I haven't done, as I said, are the monthly news roundup, the July What's on My Desk, and then my July RCAF history video. And even once that gets loaded, that gets me through to the end of July. So I have quite a bit of content lined up for you guys. I think these time lapses will be interesting for a lot of people who are out there building these models, some little hints and stuff for these kits. And then the history videos coming out. And then we're talking about August, and then we're back into airshow season. We've got Thundover, Michigan in the middle of August, and then I've got London and Gatineau in September. And, you know, I'll follow the schedules, and if I can squeeze in another show here and there, I might just try to squeeze in another show here and there. I've got more content from the Aviation Museum. I've got one more video that I can still edit and get uploaded as well. That might come out over the summer if I have a gap in the schedule, or if anything happens that I can't get it out. And, you know, I've got lots of content to bring you guys. So, you know, keep your eyes out on this channel. I still have lots to go. And then the other side is some of this content that I'm going to have, especially from the air shows and stuff, I can start releasing that through the fall. Part 2 for the time lapses, my guess is I'm not going to have these kits finished until sometime in July. I don't see myself getting these done in June. There's still quite a bit of work to do on them and finishing. So my guess is it's going to be into July before I get these kits done, which means we're probably looking at the August-September time frame before the part 2 of the time lapses start to get finished and get uploaded. So that content gets me into the fall. Air show content gets me through into the fall. I still have lots of work to do, and then that gets me into the dry spell of the winter. But I should have more than enough to keep this channel going over the winter without too much of an issue. So on that note, I think we're going to wrap this video up. So thank you all for watching. As I said before, if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe to this channel. And yeah, we'll see you all next time.
Thank you for watching, guys, and as always, if you are interested in any of the content you see, you can access my website at www.seans-aviation.com. You can see all the latest pictures of aircraft and museums and the build logs of all of my current models and past models on that site. And if you're interested in any of this content, please click the subscribe button here on YouTube to follow more. Thank you very much, and see you guys next time.